Hey, it's great to have you back drawing again. This is the second in 2 videos showing you how to draw your concepts in isometric for serving boards. In part 1, we sketched some basic concepts and learnt how to represent wood grain. Next, we'll draw some different handle designs. Draw a copy of that line at the back. It should finish on the dot. Remember, these are guidelines, so sketch them as light as you can. Let's give this shape some thickness. From that point, drop a line straight down, around about 3 or 4 millimeters, and then join the ends of the lines. Good. Halfway between these 2 points, place a mark. Now from that mark, we're going to extend a line. The angle of the line will be the same as at the front, so extend a very light guideline. Now sketch a line each side of that center line, and that's going to be a handle. How does it end? What angle should that line be? That. Well, the actual angle will be that splat angle, your isometric angle. So sketch a guideline, and now you can start and see the shape that we're aiming for. It's just a plain rectangular handle. So draw your firm line around the outside. Let's add some thickness to the handle. We'll drop a line straight down from the corner. This corner's hidden, but if I imagine a line and then join them up, that's how much of the handle that I'll see. That's looking good. Let's drill a little hole there to hang it by. And now that we've completed the drawing, we come back using our guidelines and firm in our drawing. That's great. If you want to add a shadow, then from each of the corners, just imagine a little shadow coming out and tucking behind. The quickest way, rather than colour in, is just use lots of parallel lines. A little bit of wood grain and a little suggestion of end grain makes this look like a wooden product. In part A, we showed you how to use the Splat drawing tool to draw squares in isometric and add some thickness. Halfway between those 2 points, place a mark. Bring the splat down onto the mark and extend a center line for your handle, just like we did before. Just for practice, we're going to extend 4 center lines and draw 4 different handle designs. From that point, we'll bring a center line towards you, and from the far edge, we'll use that splat angle to make a center line go away from us. We've got one more to draw in, and that is on the right hand side coming towards you. Take a close look at the 2 marks above and below the small ellipse. Hold your splat so those 2 marks are vertical, just like the edge of your page. Place a mark at the end of your handle and then center that ellipse on your mark. Now draw in an ellipse, which will be the end of my handle. A mark either side of your center line, and then connect to the circle. On some tracing paper, I'm showing you what it looks like when we drop our curve down our 3 millimeters. You can see how it looks. So now I need to draw in a copy of that line below it. Drill a hole through the center of your circle. I'm starting with the hole for this handle. Decide how wide you want it, how long you want your handle, and here I'm using convex lines, or lines that curve outwards. Drop a line down from each corner, copy that line down, and you've got some thickness. On this handle concept, I'm starting with a hole, and I'm drawing an isometric line, so I'm copying that one just beyond the hole. And then I'm going to draw some curved lines. These ones are concave again. Now drop a line down and thicken the handle. This handle concept is going to have a square hole on the end. Notice how my lines are all isometric angle. There's the left splat angle. There's the end of my handle. And I'm using the right splat angle for the sides of the handle. I think that looks fairly good. Time to erase a few of the lines that I won't see, and then go ahead and darken in my shape. To add the thickness, remember each of the corners has a line that drops down, and then copy the line above it. Great. To make your concept sketches pop, go right around the outside with a careful line, a little darker, and add just a little bit of shadow. Even a thin shadow makes the object look like it's sitting on a table instead of floating in the air. From the starting point, extend your isometric lines right and left. Make a copy of those at the back. Use the dots to help you while you're learning. And then we're dropping a line down from those 3 points to give us our thickness. Cool. Here's how to draw a handle made out of rope. First we'll need a guideline and then mark off where you want it to start and end. Bring a line up and around and then come back and offset or thicken that line up. Let's try the same thing on the far edge. Guideline, beginning and end, up and around, and then thicken the line. Sketch a curve at the bottom of each rope. Imagine it's a hole in the timber that the rope goes into. Lots more little curves makes it look more like rope instead of a hard plastic. Here's looking at the board from the side. At the moment it has right angles, but if I used a plane and removed one of the corners, I'd have a beveled edge. So that could be one way to offer an attractive feature. Could also make it easy to get your fingers under the side when you're lifting it as well, so it has a practical side. If you're working with the Splat drawing tool, then watch as I quickly draw the board. I'm also going to show you how to use the small ellipse to draw those half circle handles. Those two marks line up with that edge, and then hold it at that angle and center it on your guideline. Now draw in that half a circle. Let's do the same thing at the back. Now that's the inside guideline. Now I need to thicken that up with a second line. And don't forget to darken in your very outline. And for the other direction, notice how I line those blue marks up with the other edge and then draw in my half circle. That's a great skill to practice. See how you go. Imagine I was sketching this on scrap paper and didn't have any dots to help me. I'd need to guess my isometric angle and draw a line. Next I place a mark how long I want that line and do the same thing out the other side. Now draw in the far edge, but I'm going to hold it here because if I was drawing this on scrap paper without a dot, I wouldn't know where to stop. So I draw both lines in lightly, and where they cross over at the back, that's where I know to draw in my dark outline. In this last concept, we're going to add some timber feet. Extend that line down and then draw one each side. There should be the same length, and then join them up on that isometric angle. Good. Now the back is a little trickier. Drop one line down and a second and join them up. There's a line missing. That's it there, it disappears underneath. To help you understand, let me sketch up an isometric cube. Every cube has a starting point that's closest towards you right there. It's easy to see on that front foot. The same starting point is right there on that foot. So with this one, let's start from the back line and then come forwards to find our starting point. Once we have a starting point, we know we need to go up, and we have another line at that angle that disappears underneath. Are you getting the idea? A little shadow straight down underneath will help show that that's a recess underneath. If you're using the Splat drawing tool, let's quickly recreate another board, but this time we're going to draw it upside down. Find that point on your drawing and place a mark either side. We're going to bring a line down to each of those marks. They should be the same length. Join them up with my isometric lines. Because they're so short, I'm not using the Splat. I'm just using the lines already there to guess the angle. Great, now let me just sketch for you an isometric timber foot. And that's what we have to draw in all of the other corners. So, where do we start? From that back line, come forwards, and that is the starting point. So those two lines there are what I've just drawn in. And then my 3 vertical lines. Don't worry if you don't pick this up the first time, we've got a few more feet to go. And now I'm drawing those 2 lines in, and then the far 2 edges. All right, let's try again in this corner. So we're going to, from that corner, come forwards, which is that line. And now we've found our starting point, the normal starting point for our cubes. Drawing our 3 vertical lines. And then a left and right splat line. At the very far corner, let's start off by finding that point. That's my starting point, and drawing my 2 isometric lines. Next to 3 verticals. Bump, bump, bump. My 2 isometric lines, 2 splat lines left and right, and the far edges. Rather than erase that line that I shouldn't see, I'm going to instead cover it up. I'm adding lots of lines to look like a shadow. Notice how all those shadows are facing the right-hand direction. Next, I'll sketch some guidelines and label my views. It's been awesome drawing along with you today. Don't forget, you're going to need to practice. A little bit of practice will absolutely amaze you. Thanks very much. I'm Glenn. Bye for now.